This is a story about the brave girl who rejected a prince for a poor teacher. Amaka, a brave beautiful young woman, daughter of Okonkwo the hunter. A man whose hands were rough like tree bark and whose eyes carried both pride and pain. They lived in a small mud house near the edge of the forest in a Maocha village. Amaka was no ordinary girl. She was strong, yet tender, humble, yet unafraid to speak her mind. Every morning before the rooster's second crow, she fetched water from the stream, cooked for her father and her brother, and helped her brother prepare for school. The villagers often whispered when she passed, not out of hatred, but awe. The women would murmur, that hunter's daughter carries herself like the moon among the stars. But beauty without wealth is like rain that falls on stones. Despite all the gossips, Amaka never let their words pierce her spirit. She believed that dignity wasn't measured by riches, but by how one treated others. One morning, as she was coming back from the stream, balancing her clay pot of water on her head, she met Mama Ngozi, a kind and respected woman in the village. "Amaka, my child," the woman greeted. "Your father's fire burns early today." "Yes, Mema," Amaka replied, smiling warmly. "He said a dare crossed his trap last night. I must help him roast it before he goes to the market." Mema Ngozi nodded thoughtfully. May your kindness never fade, my daughter. You carry your mother's heart." At the mention of her mother, Amaka's eyes dimmed slightly. Her mother had died when she was only 10, taken by malaria fever. Since then, she had become both daughter and mother to her family. That morning, after finishing her chores, Amaka sat outside, weaving a small basket. Her father's voice echoed from the inner hut. "Amaka." "Yes, Papa," she answered and ran to the father. "Have you heard? The new teacher from the city arrived last night. The council says he will live by that house beside the village square." "A new teacher?" she asked. "Is he young?" Okonkwo chuckled. "I did not ask his age. I only know he carries books and wears a shiny wristwatch. The kind you see only in the city." Amaka smiled faintly. A teacher from the city was rare in this village. Most young men preferred life outside the village, far from dusty roads and elders' councils. That afternoon, as she went to sell fruits, she saw a small crowd gathered under the ancient iroko tree by the village square. There, a tall young man in a crisp white shirt was helping children recite the alphabet, his voice firm yet kind. It was her first time seeing Sam, though she didn't know his name yet. His eyes carried warmth, not the arrogance of those who came from the city, but the calm strength of a man who had seen the world and still chose humility. One of the children stumbled over a word, and others chuckled. "Don't laugh," the young man said gently. "Every child learns by making mistakes. Even I once forgot my own name in front of my teacher." They all laughed heartily. Even Amaka smiled in a distance, a small, curious smile that lingered longer than she expected. Their eyes met briefly, and for a heartbeat, the noise from the children faded. The moment was brief, but something deep within her stirred, a quiet flame that neither of them could name yet. Later that day, Okonkwo looked at his daughter and said, "Amaka, I saw how you looked at that teacher today." She startled slightly. "Papa, I only watched because he was teaching children." Okonkwo chuckled knowingly. I may be old, but my eyes are not blind. Just remember, the heart is a fire. If you don't watch it, it can burn even the strongest hut." Amaka smiled faintly but said nothing more. She didn't yet understand what the feeling meant, but she knew one thing, something about that teacher's voice had stayed in her heart long after the crowd dispersed. That night, Amaka lay awake listening to the rhythm of her heart. She could not brush off the thoughts in her heart and wondered if the new teacher could hear them too, and if he felt the same wind that whispered through her soul. It was a calm night, yet deep in the shadows, destiny had already begun its quiet dance. The next morning, a Maocha village woke to the sound of the school bell, a sound that had long been silent. Children in tattered uniforms ran through the dusty road, their laughter echoing through the valley. The new teacher had arrived, and the entire village was talking about him. His name was Sam, an orphaned son of a late palm wine tapper from Amaocha. After years of studying in the city, he had chosen to return home, not to chase wealth, but to give back to the community the knowledge that once lifted him out of poverty. But in Ameocha, where respect still bowed before status, not everyone welcomed his humble return. Some elders murmured under the tree, sipping palm wine. Why would a city man leave comfort to live among villagers? One asked suspiciously. Another replied, maybe he failed in the city and ran back home. But Mama Ngozi, who sat among them, said, "You all do not understand. That teacher has the eyes of a man with purpose." The same day, Amaka walked past the school. On her head was a tray of fruits. The children's voices drifted through the open windows. "Repeat after me," Sam's deep, gentle voice said. "A for apple, A for apple," the children echoed, giggling. Amaka lingered close to the class window, her heart listening more than her ears. When the class ended, she gathered courage and stepped closer to the teacher. "Good afternoon, teacher," she greeted softly. He smiled. "Good afternoon. You must be the hunter's daughter, Amaka." Her eyes widened slightly. "You know my name?" Sam chuckled. "Yes. Everyone speaks about the girl who wakes before the sun and works harder than most men." Amaka smiled shyly. "They talk too much in this village." "Maybe," he said, "but this time, what they say is true." She smiled. "You talk like someone who reads people's hearts." "And you," Sam replied, "talk like someone who listens to them." For a moment, silence wrapped around them. The only sound was the rustle of leaves and children playing in the distance. Then Amaka broke it. "Would you like some fruits, teacher?" Sam hesitated, then nodded gratefully. "Only if you promise to stop calling me teacher." "My name is Sam." She grinned. "Then take Sam, my best for your first day." As he took the fruits, their fingers brushed lightly. It was a brief touch, but it carried warmth that lingered long after they parted ways. Days passed, and their paths crossed often, sometimes by accident, sometimes by silent intention. When Amaka fetched firewood from the forest, Sam would help her carry the heavier bundle, and they would walk happily together, side by side. Their friendship grew like a seed that sprouted quietly beneath the soil, unseen but deeply rooted. But Ameocha was a village where nothing remained secret for long. One evening, as Amaka walked home, she heard two women gossiping by the road. "Have you seen her?" one said. "That hunter's daughter now walks beside the teacher as if they are betrothed." The other laughed. "Ah, their love is sweet, but when the king's son takes notice, then we'll see if she will still smile." Amaka's steps slowed. Her heart tightened. The king's son, Prince Uzo, was a name she never wanted tied to hers. He was handsome, yes, tall, fair-skinned, and always adorned with gold necklaces, but behind his smile was the arrogance of power. Everyone knew he got what he wanted, and no one dared say no. He had tried severally to get Amaka's love, but she turned him down. That evening, Okonkwo was outside when Amaka returned home. "You came late," he said. "I stayed to help the teacher clean his compound," she replied softly. Okonkwo sighed. "Amaka, I see the way you look at him. But remember, love is a heavy thing. A poor man's heart may be pure, but poverty still stains his hand in this village." Amaka said, "Papa, I know. But Sam is not like other men. He wants nothing but to do good." Okonkwo saw something familiar, the same stubborn fire her mother once carried, and he said no more. The following week, the village council invited Sam to the palace. Drums sounded as he walked through the compound, greeted by curious stares. King Okadaki, a proud man, sat on a carved wooden throne. Beside him stood his only son, Prince Uzo. "You are welcome, young teacher," the king began. "Your coming has brought light to our children. We are grateful." Sam bowed respectfully. "It is my honor, your highness. Education is the bridge to a better tomorrow." Uzo smirked slightly, his eyes scanning Sam's modest clothes. "And yet, even with all your education, you still live among mud walls?" Sam only responded, "The walls do not matter, my prince. It is what I build inside them that counts." The king nodded approvingly. Wise words. Uzo frowned but said nothing more. His pride was wounded, and deep inside him, envy began to grow. though he couldn't yet name it. That same evening, as Sam walked home, he saw Amaka sweeping the yard. She looked up and said, "You look troubled. Then you must have heard more pride than words." He looked at her and said, "You know him well." "Too well," she replied. "He thinks every girl in Amaocha exists for his pleasure. He is too arrogant for my liking." "Amaka," he said softly, "whatever comes, promise me one thing, never be afraid to speak your truth." She looked into his eyes, her heart thudding like the village drum. "I promise," she whispered. And just as the words left their mouths, their promises sealed something deeper than love, a bond that would soon be tested by envy, power, and betrayal. In Amaocha village, nothing remained hidden for long. Secrets traveled faster than the wind that rustled the palm leaves, and before a week had passed, Amaka and Sam's growing closeness had become the sweetest and most dangerous gossip by market women. One woman spoke with excitement. "You see that teacher," she whispered. "They say he visits the hunter's compound almost every evening." Another replied, "If the prince hears this, that man's teaching days will end." And they giggled. "But who can blame Amaka? That young man is educated and hard-working," one of them said. One evening Amaka and Sam sat on an old log, outside Sam's hut, talking about life, dreams, and the kind of future that seemed far beyond their reach. "I want to build a prosperous youth in this village," Sam said. "A people that will embrace education and gain knowledge that will bring change to this village." Amaka smiled. "And I will help in any little way I can to support your dream." He saw admiration shining in her eyes. "You see why I say you are not ordinary, Amaka? You carry hope in everything you touch." She laughed softly. "And you, Sam, you carry peace. Maybe that is why the children love you." They sat in silence for a while, and when she rose to leave, Sam gently held her hand. "Amaka," he said, his voice low, "I know what people are saying. But I don't care. I only care about what's true between us." Amaka met his gaze, her heart pounding. "And what is true?" He smiled faintly. "That I love you." For a moment, time stood still. Her breath caught, and her eyes filled with quiet wonder. She had never been told such words before, not with that sincerity, not with that weight. "I love you too, Sam," she whispered, her voice trembling like the leaves in the wind. The moon rose above them that night, glowing bright as if the heavens themselves blessed their confession. But beneath its light, unseen eyes watched. 2 days later, Prince Uzo rode through the village market square on his shiny expensive motorbike, scattering dust and attention. While in the market, he saw Amaka walking home. He came down from his motorbike. "Amaka," he called. She stood, startled but respectful. "Good afternoon, my prince." Uzo smiled arrogantly. "Ah, you remember me. I see you grow more beautiful each day." She bowed slightly. "Thank you, my prince." He gestured toward his motorbike. "Let me take you home. No need to walk under this sun." "Thank you, but I'm fine," she said politely. He frowned, his voice dropping lower. "Do you know many girls in this village would give anything to ride with me? I love you and want to make you my wife and the next queen of this kingdom." Amaka stood firm, her tone calm. "I am not interested in your offer. And I am not many girls. I am Amaka, my prince. Please, excuse me." Some people turned to watch in disbelief. No one ever spoke to the prince that way. Uzo's pride burned like fire. "You dare reject me, the son of your king?" he asked coldly. Amaka bowed again, keeping her voice steady. "I only wish to walk, my prince. I am not interested. That is all." He stared at her for a moment, anger and fascination mixing dangerously. Then, without another word, he revved his motorbike and sped off, leaving a cloud of dust and silence behind. That evening, at the palace, Uzo paced angrily before his father. "Father, that hunter's daughter has no respect. I have been asking her out but she always rejects my offer. Today I offered her kindness, and she insulted me before the people. Calm yourself, my son. What is one girl's pride to you? In this kingdom, you can have many other beautiful maidens to yourself." The king said. Uzo scowled. "It's not just pride, she chose another, that new poor teacher, Sam." The king looked surprised. Sam, the young man we invited to the palace not long ago? Yes, father. Uzo snapped. He walks with her as if they are husband and wife. A mere teacher, dares to touch what should be mine. We shall see, he added. The king sighed deeply. Do not bring trouble into my peace, Uzo. If the girl refuses you, there are so many others. But Uzo's eyes darkened. No, father. This is about respect. I will make her see who truly holds power in Ameocha. In few weeks, whispers had turned into open talk about Amaka and Sam's love and how she rejected the prince. At the palm wine spot, one man said, that young teacher does not know that when a poor man climbs too high, the wind will remind him where he came from. Another added, the prince's silence is more dangerous than his anger. But Sam and Amaka walked on, their hands brushing occasionally, choosing love over fear. That afternoon, as they sat chatting, Sam said, Amaka, I feel a storm coming. She nodded. I feel it too. Will you stand with me when it comes? She looked at him, steady, unwavering. Even if the whole village turns against us. He took her hands, holding them firmly. Then let our love be our truth, no matter who tries to bury it. Little did they know that, in a few days, Prince Uzo's anger would grow into a cruel plan, one that would test not only their love but the strength of Amaka's courage and the heart of an entire village. Prince Uzo began to lose sleep over Amaka's rejection. His pride burned through the night, fed by jealousy. Each time he closed his eyes, he saw Amaka smiling beside Sam. To him, it was not love, it was humiliation. And humiliation demanded revenge. One night, he summoned two of his loyal palace guards, Odogwu and Ikon, guards who feared him more than they respected him. You will do something for me, he ordered. Yes, my prince, they chorused. In the school vault house, there is a chest that holds the school council's funds received from the government. Tonight, when darkness falls heavily, you will steal it and hide it in the teacher's hut. By morning, people will raise alarm and the rest will be history. The men hesitated, exchanging glances. But, my prince, the teacher has done no wrong, he is a good man. Uzo's eyes flashed. Did I ask for your opinion? Just do as I said or you will join him in exile. They bowed quickly. Yes, my prince. They responded. That night, as the moon hid behind clouds, Odogwu and Ikon crept to the school. They broke the lock, stole the wooden chest containing the money donated to the school, and disappeared into the shadows. By morning as expected, word spread like wildfire. The school's money was gone. Sam arrived at the school, to find the children waiting outside, frightened. What happened? He asked. As the children were nervously explaining to him about the break-in. The palace guards arrived. They say you must come to the king's palace immediately. Sam frowned. Me? For what reason? The messenger's eyes darted away. They wish to question you concerning the missing chest. The teacher's heart sank. At the palace, the villagers gathered. Not for celebration, but for judgment. The king sat on his throne of authority, his son, the prince, beside him pretending innocence. Sam, the king began sternly, you are accused of stealing from the school treasury. We have a witness, who saw you carrying the chest last night. What do you have to say? Sam bowed respectfully. Your Highness, I am innocent. I am not a thief. And I would never steal from the children I teach. Prince Uzo leaned forward, voice dripping with false pity. Then how did the chest find its way in your hands? A murmur swept through the elders. People whispered, their hearts torn between doubt and belief. But Prince Uzo's smirk widened. It seems both the teacher and the hunter's daughter have things to hide. Maybe he stole the money to impress her with expensive gifts. Okonkwo the hunter stepped forward. My king, could you call on the witness that saw the teacher to openly testify to this accusation? My daughter and I have nothing to do with this. At that, all eyes turned to Amaka. She stood without fear. It is a lie, she cried out. I did not steal the chest or receive any expensive gift from Sam. The Sam I know would never do such a thing. He is certainly not dubious like some people. The council elders hissed. Quiet, woman. You do not speak when men judge matters. But Amaka refused to be silenced. If men will not speak truth, then a woman must. The palace fell silent. Even the wind seemed to stop. The king's face hardened. Enough. We will settle this. Since a witness confided in me of seeing the teacher with the chest last night, he will be kept in the palace prison until the judgment day. And if found guilty, he will leave Ameocha. Exile will be his punishment. No. This cannot be. He did nothing wrong. Amaka shouted and went to Sam. Sam looked at her. Amaka, do not worry. Truth has a way of finding light, even in darkness. He turned to the king and said softly, I will go, if found guilty, your highness, but remember, the truth you bury with lies will one day rise again. Ichiagumba, an elder among the royal council, rose slowly. My king, before we condemn this young man, we must seek proof. Let us search his hut and see if this missing chest lies there. The gods punish hasty judgment. The king hesitated, but the people murmured in agreement. He finally waved his hand. So be it. Search his hut. If the chest is found, he shall face exile for daring to deceive the council. After his suggestion, the guards marched to Sam's hut, and his house was searched. Moments later, the guards emerged from the hut, carrying the missing chest. The crowd gasped. At the palace, they arrived with the chest. We found it in his hut, one of the guards exclaimed. Sam stood, his face drained of color. I swear by the earth beneath my feet, I didn't steal that. I don't know how it got to my hut. I have been framed. Amaka's eyes burned with fury. She turned to the king. They did this. They planted it there. The prince smirked. Careful, Amaka. Defending a thief might make people think you're one too. Enough. The council will decide his fate, the king said. And another elder rose. My king, this case smells of deceit. The gods do not bless false witnesses. Before we judge, let the oath of truth decide. Let whoever swears falsely before the earth goddess suffer her wrath. The suggestion sent a murmur through the crowd. Even the palace guards and the prince looked uneasy. Amaka stepped forward once again. Then let me swear first, that Sam is innocent and that someone else placed that chest in his hut. Her father, Okonkwo, shouted, No Amaka. Stay out of this matter. I know Sam is not a thief but allow him defend himself. But she ignored her father's warning and stood tall. If I keep silent, then I am part of the lie. I will not let fear bury justice. The elder's voice cut through the silence. The guilty fear the gods, but the innocent speak boldly. The king frowned, suspicion creeping into his eyes. Prince Uzo, is there something you wish to say? No, my king. It is certain that he stole the chest. But the people had seen his fear, and murmurs began to rise again. Sam lifted echoed softly, the truth may bend, but it never breaks. One day, even lies will bow to it. The elder nodded gravely. Then let us wait. If Sam has lied, the earth goddess will show her wrath before the next moon. The guards threw Sam inside the palace cell. Amaka called out, as she was standing before the king, her voice breaking, Hold on, my love. The truth will come, and when it does, Ameocha will never forget. The king's gaze followed her as she spoke. He saw in her something no curse or tradition could silence, a spirit that would rather burn for truth than bow to deceit. That night, Amaka sat at home, her face covered in disappointment. Her father watched her silently. Papa, she said, voice breaking, I cannot let them destroy him. I will find the truth even if it means standing against the palace. Okonkwo sighed heavily. You carry the spirit of your mother. Be careful, my child, courage is light, but it can also burn. Amaka looked up, eyes fierce with determination. Then let it burn, Papa. I will not rest until Sam's name is cleared. The days that followed the trial felt like a slow-moving storm. Sam was locked in a small cell in the palace, guarded by men who are loyal to Prince Uzo. His name, once a symbol of honesty, now echoed in whispers, the thief who stole from the school. But Amaka refused to let silence swallow the truth. She carried food to the prison, only to be turned away by the guards. No one visits the prisoner, she was told. Still, she would stand there, her voice steady. Sam, the sun still rises. Don't lose hope. I will not rest until the truth speaks. Inside, Sam would be drawing strength from her words, despite nothing seeing her. But Amaka's defiance soon became the talk of Ameocha. One guard warned her one day, "You are challenging the king. Be careful, Amaka. You are a woman, do not bring shame on your family." At home her father, Okonkwo, pleaded with her. "My daughter, listen to me. You cannot fight the king's order. If you continue this way, you may bring a curse upon our household." But Amaka responded, "Father, a curse already lies upon Ameocha, for lying against the innocent, the curse of silence when truth is buried. I will not be part of it." Her father looked at her, then sighed deeply. "You have your mother's spirit. But remember, bravery without wisdom can burn a person alive." Amaka nodded. "Then I will learn to walk through the fire without fear." The next morning, she walked straight to the palace courtyard once again. The guards questioned her. "Where are you going, Amaka?" "To speak to the king," she said firmly. The guards laughed. "No woman speaks to the king without summons." "Then let him summon me now," she shot back. "For I carry the words of truth, and they burn heavier than any command." Her boldness stunned them. One guard hesitated. "Let her pass," he said quietly. "Perhaps the gods have sent her." She stepped forward into the grand palace, where the king was sitting upon his wooden throne, interrupting a cabinet meeting. When he saw her, his brows furrowed. "You again? Has defiance become your morning meal?" Amaka bowed slightly. "My king, I come not to defy but to seek justice. Sam is innocent." "You are holding the wrong man." The king's face hardened. "Mind your tongue, girl. You stand before authority." "I stand before injustice," she countered. "And I will not bow to lies wrapped in power." Gasps rippled through the room. The elders exchanged shocked glances. Some admired her courage, others feared for her life. The king's voice deepened. "Do you forget that I can have you banished for such words?" Amaka's eyes glistened with unshed tears, but her voice did not waver. "Then banish me, but remember, even if I leave, truth will not follow me. It will remain here, haunting those who twist it." The king raised his voice. "Enough. Take her away. Let her not visit this palace again until the teacher is tried and judgment passed. Perhaps that will cool her tongue." Amaka responded, "Nobody should touch me. I will walk out on my own." The king glared but said nothing. He impatiently said, "So be it. Let her go. But if she returns again without my call, she shall be exiled for good." 2 nights later, Amaka sat outside her home. The wind was cold, and the forest whispered with unseen voices. As she gazed toward the distant palace lights, she whispered, "If I must stand alone to prove his innocence, then I will." Just then, an old woman emerged from the shadows. Mama Uju, the palace chief cook, stooped with age but sharp of eye. "Amaka, my child," she said in a trembling voice. "I heard your words at the palace and what happened. You are brave, and for that, the gods will smile on you. There is something you must know." Amaka leaned forward. "What is it, Mama?" Mama Uju looked around, lowering her voice. "The night the chest was stolen, I overheard Prince Uzo, Odogwu, and Ekin planning on how they would steal the chest and pin it on Sam. That night they did exactly as planned. I thought it strange, but who would dare question the king's blood?" Amaka's eyes widened. "Are you sure of what you saw, Mama?" Mama Uju nodded slowly. "I swear by my grey hairs, my child. But be careful, the truth you seek walks on dangerous ground. Speak it too loudly, and you may never be heard again." "Thank you, Mama. You have given me light in this darkness. I will not be silent." The next morning, Amaka rose and whispered to herself, "Let them prepare their lies. I will bring the truth before the council and before the gods themselves." After 4 market days, the palace courtyard, usually alive with laughter, was filled with whispers, tension, and fear. Sam stood in the center. The council of elders sat in a semicircle. Behind the king, Prince Uzo stood beside him. "Today," he announced, "we will put an end to this matter of shame. The thief who dared to steal from the community school will know his fate." Many eyes darted toward Sam, pity mixed with doubt. But at that very moment, the sound of footsteps echoed through the tense air. It was Amaka. She walked boldly into the square, her head held high, her eyes burning with determination. And she joined Sam in the center. The entire crowd turned. Some gasped. Others whispered, "She came? After all the warnings?" "Amaka," the king thundered, "you defy my order again? I told you to stay away from this matter." Amaka stood before the king. "Forgive me, my king, but truth does not fear decree. If I must bow to lies, then I am not my mother's daughter." Then she voiced out. "The people of Ameocha," her voice trembling with emotion, "we all know Sam. He is a kind and honest teacher, who teaches the children of this village. He worked hard to put food on his table. He left the city to serve his people in this village. Would such a man steal from the school and children he is building to be better tomorrow?" The people stirred. Even some elders exchanged uncertain glances. Amaka then turned sharply toward Prince Uzo, who stood beside the king, his chest puffed up in arrogance. "I know the people who did this evil," she said, her voice firm. "Prince Uzo and his loyal guards did it." The prince smirked. "You dare accuse me, Amaka? You, daughter of a hunter?" "I dare speak the truth," Amaka replied. "You planted that chest in Sam's hut, didn't you? You thought no one would know, but you forgot what the eyes of the innocent can see." Gasps filled the air. King Okadeki's staff struck the ground. "Silence," he roared. "Do you have proof of what you say?" Amaka nodded and stepped aside. Mema Uju, the palace chief cook, emerged from behind the crowd and stood before the king. She spoke softly. "I saw Prince Uzo and 2 of his loyal guards that night. They planned it all, and executed their plans when everyone was asleep." The entire square erupted in shock. King Okadeki rose from his chair in fury. "Prince Uzo. Is this true?" Prince Uzo froze, his arrogance melting into panic. "It's a lie. Mama Uju was paid to do this." But even as he denied it, Ekin, who was so afraid, confessed to their plan and revealed that the prince blackmailed them to do it. A cry of astonishment swept through the crowd. Sam looked up, eyes wide. Amaka's lips trembled, a mixture of relief and triumph. The king's voice thundered, "Uzo, you dare disgrace the council? You brought shame upon the palace." Guards seized them immediately. Prince Uzo struggled, screaming, but the crowd's anger drowned his voice. King Okadeki turned to Sam. "My son," he said solemnly, "I wronged you. I wronged your name and your love. You are free." Amaka stood beside him. The entire village watched as love triumphed over fear, and truth silenced deceit. And for the first time, King Okadeki looked at Amaka not as a mere peasant's daughter, but as a woman of courage. He nodded slowly. "From this day, the council shall remember your bravery." As Prince Uzo and his cohorts were dragged away, Amaka held Sam's hand and whispered, "The truth always wins, my love, even when it trembles." He smiled faintly. "And so do you, Amaka. You are the lioness of Ameocha." The sun shone brighter, as though blessing them both. For the first time in many moons, joy filled the air. The next day, as Amaka and Sam stood by the village chatting, Sam looked at her quietly. "You could have stayed silent, Amaka," he said softly. "You could have been in deeper trouble if no witness came up." Amaka smiled faintly. "If love keeps silent when truth is in chains, then it's not love at all." He reached for her hand. "You gave me back my name, my dignity, and my life." Before she could speak, the sound of approaching footsteps made stand still. It was King Okadeki, and the elders. The king's once proud eyes were now heavy with remorse. "My children," he said. "I came not as a king today, but as a man who has wronged 2 innocent souls." He continued, his voice trembling slightly. "For years, I ruled this land believing that respect must come from fear. I was blind to the wisdom of the humble and deaf to the voice of love. But your courage, Amaka, has opened my eyes. You have shown Ameocha that truth needs no title, only a brave heart." Then he turned and held Sam's hand. "You are a good man, Sam. I see now that a man's worth is not in his clothes or his status, but in his heart. If love binds you two together, may no hand tear you apart. Today, I give you my permission to take Amaka as a wife. I will reward you immensely on your wedding day." The crowd erupted in joy. The next day the king summoned Amaka to the village square. He met her with the elders. "Amaka," he gladly said, "from this day, you shall be honored as Ada Ameocha, the first daughter of Ameocha village. Your name will be sung in the moonlight as the one who stood for justice." The elders that had gathered broke into cheers. Amaka could not contain her joy. "My king, I only did what was right." King Okadiki smiled. "And that is what true leadership means, doing right, even when it hurts." He sighed deeply and whispered, "May the gods forgive my pride." But Amaka responded, "You have already redeemed yourself, my king. It takes courage to admit when we are wrong. That too is the strength of a lion." He smiled gently and blessed her. "Go, my daughter. Lead this village with the love that saved it." Later that day Amaka met with Sam and told him about the name the king and the elders conferred on her. "You hear that, my lioness?" Sam said. "Even the king himself can no longer fight our love." Amaka smiled. "I told you, love always wins, but only the love that stands with truth." Years passed, Amaka and Sam became symbols of unity. The people of Ameocha began to treat one another as equals, no longer divided by wealth or status, but joined by compassion. And Amaka was known in the land of Ameocha as a brave girl who taught the elders that love without courage is empty, and courage without love is blind. Thank you for watching. Please kindly drop your comments, like, share and subscribe. Remain blessed.